Hello, hello.
Go.
Hi, and hello, everyone. Thank you for joining for our BPI chats today. I'm Alexandra Maloney, and I am the host. I hope everyone is staying safe and lifted during this time. So, the purpose of this series is to share experiences and insights of members of the international affairs community and hopefully inspire the next generation to explore these different opportunities that are in the international field. Also, the thoughts and views of our guest speakers are their own and do not reflect the views of BPIA. We are currently streaming live, and this talk will be posted on our IGTV and our YouTube channel afterwards. So if you haven't already, please follow Black Professionals in International Affairs on Instagram, as well as our guest speaker, whose handle can be found on their flyer on our page. And lastly, we encourage viewers to chime in below in the thread with any comments and questions that they may have. So without further ado, I will introduce our guest speaker for today. Dr. Shakira Hobbs' scholarship explores system approaches to environmental engineering, international development, and life cycle thinking applied to the food, energy, and water nexus. Recently, she expanded upon her research endeavors in Belize by exploring behavioral science concepts that assist in understanding the role that engineers play in community adoption of sustainable technology. Dr. Hobbs is the founder of BioGals, an international nonprofit corporation that empowers women of color to create sustainable solutions. Dr. Hobbs is currently an assistant professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at the University of Kentucky. So thank you so much, Shakira, for joining us today. So I'd like to start off by asking, so how is the COVID-19 situation affecting the work that you do?
Yes. So, well, first I want to say thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here to talk about BioGals and some of the work that I do as a professor. In terms of how COVID has impacted my work, well, it has its ups and downs. The ups is like I get to spend more time at home. I feel like I'm more productive. I have a little bit more clarity. But the downside is I'm also a professor and I have an active research group and we do lab work. So my students aren't able to get into the lab right now. And then aside with BioGals, we see this as an opportunity to kind of switch or change our angle a little bit about how do we educate the public about how to be safe during COVID. What are some STEM activities we can do for K through 12 students who are at home but don't necessarily understand COVID, or they're maybe a little bit bored or they want to be active. And one other piece that I'm strongly interested in is sustainability. How can you still practice sustainability during this pandemic? So me personally, I'm using a lot of Clorox wipes. And I'm like, whoa, I am throwing a lot of wipes in the garbage. What can I do? So it's like thinking of these things. And so what we're doing, BioGals, is we're creating this webinar that we will launch sometime in May, where we're thinking of strategies to still remain sustainable during COVID, activities for small kids about COVID. Why do I have to wear a face mask? Why am I home? And then just other disinfecting things like.
I think that can be applicable to children and adults. The same strategy.
You are right. But like, what is important? So we'll create activities that show what are the potential consequences if you don't wear a face mask, if you don't stay 6 feet apart. And then disinfecting, like, are all chemicals that say they're disinfectant, are they treated equally? So those are the things we want to explore in the webinar with the community.
Great. Thank you so much. Hi, for those who have just joined in with Dr. Shakira Hobbs, who is at the Nexus of Environmental Engineering and International Development. So, and feel free to drop any comments or questions that you have in the read.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more about your journey? So what got you to where you are now?
Yes. So about a year ago, I was on at this workshop, and there was a panel, and the panel was full of deans and all of them were saying serendipity, serendipity. No way. Like, you guys have to know something. And so, like, now that I'm here as an assistant professor, I can actually say the same thing. When I first started undergrad, I was like, undergrad, BS, in and out. My uncle was like, consider grad school. I was like, no way, I'm done. Like, school, in and out. But what changed for me was undergraduate research and studying abroad in Belize the first time. I figured out that I actually like research. I like diving deep. Also, I like going abroad, in particular to communities that look like me, because I didn't know that there were so many similarities, although we were in different parts of the world, the region. And being an African American, not knowing what country in Africa that I originate from, it was like me putting those pieces of identity together for myself.
Right.
And so that's how my path kind of got started. So being really involved with research, and then going to grad school, and then talking to other professors about what I wanted to research, and how studying abroad and doing international work is still the things that I wanted to focus on. So that's how that kind of happened. And for me, universities have just been really supportive of my goals and what I wanted to do.
Thank you for that. Belize is definitely a place that's on that's like a bucket list item for
I
me. So
know.
I'll be reaching out for suggestions
Oh yeah,
more on that.
come join
So what would you say are some of the current, issues and trends in terms of the, sustainability, international development, engineer space? What are some of the big priority areas or kind of focus areas right now in the field?
Yeah, so if we just take like the example here of this pandemic, we look at how, we have the stay-at-home order, we have this social distancing, and it seems like the environment and just looking at animals and species are having an opportunity to recover. If we look at what was going on in Italy, in Venice in particular, their water, which was historically known to be polluted, is now becoming clear, and there's dolphins swimming in the water. So some of the biggest challenges are human impact. How do we reduce our impact? How do we mitigate some of the emissions, some of the pollution? Um, and then when we think about like these existing infrastructure, some of them are very difficult to retrofit for them to be sustainable. And so what it comes down to is engineering, in combination with behavioral change. And so how do we do that? How do we get community members to see the importance of practicing sustainability, but also changing behavior as well? So reducing consumption of things and reducing waste. Yeah, and so that's what I look at in the lab, as an assistant professor. What I mainly focus on, you mentioned before, at the Food, Energy, Water Nexus. So I look at food waste. In the U.S., like many developed countries, we produce a lot of food waste. And it's mainly because we don't eat everything that's on the plate, that we put on our plate. Most of the things that are produced at the farm don't make it to the grocery store or make restaurants because maybe they're deformed in some way, but they have all the nutritional value that's there. So we send a lot of food waste to the landfill. And so what I look at is ways to convert that food waste into energy. So you can convert that food waste into energy through biodigestion. And I do something very similar with bioplastics. And then I apply this in an international setting. So right now I'm working with City River Belize, um, where we built a prototype anaerobic digester with hopes of using that gas that's being produced as a cooking fuel.
Wow. What's biodigestion?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, biodigestion. So you may hear like biodigestion, anaerobic digestion, biodigester. They're all the same. So you can think of it. Let's take ourselves as humans. I eat an apple, which is organic. So organic material goes into this biodigester. Inside of my body, inside of my stomach is oxygen free. So anaerobic environment. So within that anaerobic environment, you have natural microbes that live in there. So you can think of just like in your gut, in your microbiome of your stomach, you have natural microbes that live in there. Well, those natural microbes will feed on that apple. They will break that apple down. And while they're breaking it down, they start to produce something called biogas. We do the same things too as humans. We produce biogas, but we call it something else, right? That biogas has 70% methane. That methane is a natural gas, which we can use as cooking, heating, and lighting. And again, biodigesters produce a solid very similar to humans. We do the same thing. We produce human waste. Well, that biosolid that come out now is rich in phosphorus, nitrogen, and potassium, and can be used as a fertilizer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm learning. I feel like I'm a student in school right now. I'm loving it. I'm here for We're here with Dr. Shakira Hobbs, who she's a assistant professor at the University of Kentucky, where she works at the Nexus of uh, um, of international development, sustainable engineering. And we just have a shout out here from our friends at Black Government USA, who says definitely learn something new, hand clap. So thank you, dropping knowledge on us. So feel free to drop any comments or questions that you have in the thread. So Shakira, my next question to you is, what originally sparked your interest in this field?
Yes. So again, I would go back to research. And I felt like I could bring some of my identity into sustainability. So I didn't come from like a household that had money. We weren't poor, but we didn't have a lot of money. We were very resourceful. And to see resourceful being used in a research context is like, oh, okay, I can bring my identity. I can bring something that I grew up with into research, right? And it was kind of like a sense of belonging. In addition to that, like studying abroad in communities like me, again, that was another sense of belonging. Sometimes being in these academic institutions and especially like PWIs, there's this feeling of isolation. And then sometimes this feeling that I can't share or show all of me right?
Mm.
Where I go into these international settings and I met with like complete support, supportive environments. It's like, wow,
Wow.
you're a Black woman, you're an engineer, you could do that, you doing these calculations, and then I'm bringing my friends down with me as well, and they're like, oh, you ladies are smart, and it's like, oh, we are. Thank you so much, like, you know, for the words of encouragement. So again, like finding those like supportive environments in research and abroad has been really helpful for me.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. So in your field, do you find that it's rare to find other people of color or women of color in your field?
Yes, yeah. So
You
unfortunately,
all are like unicorns.
yeah, you know, that last two Halloweens ago, that's exactly what I was. I was a black unicorn. I wore all black with my gold little horn. Like, yep, that's me. um, but yes, so we look at on the undergraduate level, we look at Black women receiving engineering degrees. It's been on a decline, and it's been on a decline since 2002. And in 2002, it peaked at like 2%. But ever since then, it's been on a decline. And I think it's less than 1% right now from the undergraduate level. And so, what that is highlighting is that there are some systemic issues that are going on. One being sense of a belonging, supportive environment, you know, stereotype threat. And unfortunately, these things that I'm talking about don't go away after you get your degree. They don't go
Right.
away once you become faculty member, or
Mm.
they don't go away. Unfortunately, you find ways to manage it. You find allies. You find supportive systems, and hence the reason why we created something like BioGals. We feel like not a lot of people of color are afforded the opportunity, not necessarily economically, but not afforded the opportunity to study abroad, and then two, plus go in supportive environments. If we look at the pictures that are put on, you know, for study abroad activities, you can clearly see sometimes who are the people that live in that country and who are the people that are visiting. Meaning, we're not really getting a lot of diverse people going out to study abroad. And so, our whole thing is we're trying to get more people that look like us that study abroad, and we don't really see ourselves as like helping these people or like saving them or anything like that, because they
Mhm.
give us so much back in return. It's
Right.
definitely a mutual relationship. They're giving this need that we all long for, to be supported, to have a sense of belonging. In addition to that, you know, they already have clever ideas. Most of the time, they just need resources or someone with an engineering background to put that into action. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you. My next question is, so what do you like most about your work and what do you find most challenging about your work?
Yeah, so what I like most is, I know I feel like I'm a tape recorder right now, but the research, like I really love research, and like now that I'm a professor, I can choose almost anything that I want to research long as it's fundable, right? So yeah, so I have three graduate students working in my lab. I have two master students, one PhD student. And then with BioGals, what I love the most is if I have women from all different fields. So some, one just graduated with their PhD, one's working in the field as an engineer. We have a male even that's a part of the board. So we represent like all these different areas. So I really enjoy that. They bring really diverse, interesting perspectives and different angles and just different ways of doing things that I really appreciate. Um, the most challenging, let's see. Hmm. So, well, this is a good question because I've been thinking about this lately. Like, how do I phrase the most challenging? Okay, well, to maintain in these systems that weren't originally developed for us, um, and to actually make it through in that system or kind of get a foot in, people recognize talent when they see it. You know, so I was having this conversation with my husband. I was like, real recognize real, man. And so I'm getting like a lot of requests, right? Um, and some of them are great opportunities and some of them are not. And so with all of these requests, you get a little bogged down. So I'm an assistant professor on tenure track. If I accept all of these requests and some of them that are not mutually beneficial, I'm not going to remain as a professor. I'm not going to make it to associate professor level. And so for me, the challenging thing has been, how do I communicate that without um, it being perceived in a negative light? Right. So that's been the biggest challenge for me, an assistant professor level. And then for BioGals, I think like with all new startups, all new nonprofits, money.
Yes, funding is always the hurdle to get over. That's like the connecting piece a lot of the times.
Yes.
So we have one question from a viewer. Thank you for asking. It says, has your organization been able to mentor young women since you began BioGals?
Yes. And it's been unintentional. And it's been on both sides, locally here and abroad. And so when we were building the prototype digester, we were working with a local construction company, and they were all men, but they were giving us like the the free freedom to do what we needed to do to assist in building the digester. You know, so in terms of like plastering the biodigester with concrete, mixing epoxy glue, handling power tools, we were doing that. And then we noticed that there will be girls that will be on the sideline giggling and staring and looking at us. And then there was this one girl that was pretty bold. She came up and was like, "Oh, I always see my dad doing that." And I was like, "Really? Do you want to do it?" And she was like, "Yes." And so I was mixing epoxy glue, and I had her finish mixing the epoxy glue. And then, you know, the next day they all came out and we gave them BioGals shirts and they helped us load the digester. We were blending food waste and mixing manure. You know, manure is not the most attractive thing to mix, but they were getting in it. You know, they were, and I was like, wow, like we didn't realize how much of an impact we were having, because you know we were receiving so much of like, wow, we can do our jobs as engineers, we're not being questioned, like this is a great feeling for us. But to actually see the other side, like how they were responding to it, it was just so amazing. Yeah.
Great, great. That is so good. I want to ask, are you a member and um, do you encourage younger people to explore organizations like NSBE and BEA for people of color who are in the engineering space,
Most
looking to connect with more people of color?
Yes, most definitely. So I've been involved with the National Society of Black Engineers since I was an undergrad, so like over a decade. Ariel Benjamin actually introduced me to IAB BPIA, and I've known her through Nesby. We've known each other for over a decade. And so Nesby has been amazing. I've met like some lifelong friends through Nesby. I still go to Nesby now as a faculty member because it's such a breath of fresh air to be around people who look like you, who are thriving and doing their job as engineers.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I have one more question, and feel free to add any concluding thoughts or information that you want to share to this. But the question is there anything that you know now that you wish you knew at the start of your career path?
Yeah. And I wish I knew that it would all work out. So if I could talk to my younger self, I would tell my younger self to calm down. I put a lot, no, I put a lot of stress on myself as an undergrad. You know, just to give like a little background, I didn't get an engineering degree as an undergrad. I got a degree in environmental science and technology. And the reason
Wow.
I didn't get a degree is because I kept failing all of my intro classes. And yeah, right. And so coming
Wow.
from a doing well in high school and then getting to college and not doing well and like failing all my classes and dealing with like a lot of, private things in my life, I was
Mhm.
really down on myself. I was like, yeah, I was really down on myself. But then I went to grad school at Arizona State University. It was in a program, Alternative Energy Technologies. And I was doing well in that program. And my master's advisor came to me and was like, hey, Shakira, we're in the process of phasing out this program. I think you should switch to engineering. And I was like, um, I didn't do well when I tried the first time. I just don't know. And she
Mhm.
was like, well, you're a different person now. Things change. You're in a different environment. I think you should really give it a try. So I did.
Wow.
And I graduated with a 3.9 GPA. Yes. And I was like, yes, right? I couldn't believe it. I
Wow.
Yes. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like I thought, and I ended up doing a master's with thesis because I was like, who knows?
Hmm.
And then again,
Right.
that love of research, and I was like, I should do a PhD, right? And so I got in a PhD program with funding, and it was NSF, IGERT funding, which is pretty competitive. And
Hmm.
yeah, so that's where it's been from there. And so, like, when I'm faced with, you know, troubles or people thinking like things just came easy to me, and I'm just like, you don't know my beginnings because it was always a struggle. But if I could go back and talk to my younger self and just say like, hey, just keep working hard, just stay the course, and just don't be so down on yourself personally, like it's going to
Hmm.
work out. Just trust the process. You don't see it right now, but just trust the process.
Shakira, thank you so much for speaking to us today. How do people get in contact with you? The Instagram handle on your flyer, as well as any information how to get more on BioGals.
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram at shobbs89. BioGals, we also have an Instagram page. It's the BioGals. We can follow us on Twitter. It's the BioGals as well. And then I'm Shakira R. Hobbs on Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter. I try to at least tweet once a day, so that's active for me. uh, we have a website as well for anyone that's interested in doing joining BioGals, just wanting to know a little bit more about what we're doing, some of our initiatives, you can find us on www.biogals.com.
Alrighty, great. Thank you so much, Shakira, and thank you for everyone for joining today. So please follow BPIA for more great speakers, and we look forward to seeing everyone soon. Be safe, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Have a great day.